because they're so surprised that it's so unusual to have such, the amount of staff that we have. per
Yes.
resident.
Thank you for adding that. And also, thank you. And also too, when we have survey, and I tell the surveyors that we don't have agency, they don't really believe us. And it kind of takes us a couple of times for us to tell them the same thing, for them to realize all of the staff that they are seeing, they're our staff. We do not use agency. So, another big part being in skilled nursing is that we are regulated by the Department of Health, specifically for their skilled nursing communities. So through Department of Health, we're very heavily regulated of rules of what we can and cannot do. And this deals with, most importantly, how we take care of you. They watch and they want to know everything. So every year, or really since COVID, I would say every 12 to 18 months, we will go through what's called a health inspection survey, where multiple surveyors will come on site to critique all aspects of what we provide to you. They review policies, they read through everything, they ask for everything. We go through, don't tell the Green Committee this, but we go through a lot of paper during this. A lot of copies, but they've also gotten better with making us scan things, so that's good. Excuse me. They observe meal times. They meet with residents and their families to conduct interviews. They want to know what's working well, what's not. They want to hear everything. They stand over our nurses while they pass medications, and they even observe our poor CNAs giving hands-on care. So they'll ask the resident if that's okay, but they'll observe our CNAs actually giving pericare or changing someone. And it's very nerve-wracking for my staff to have someone watching over them, critiquing everything that they do. Okay, so how did we do? Our last inspection was October 23rd through the 27th of last year in 2023. After a grueling week, our skilled nursing community was given no deficiencies for the health center, which is a true accomplishment for the entire team. Now, what does no deficiencies mean? That means they found nothing wrong with what we are doing. They found us to be in substantial compliance with all of the rules and regulations, which I can tell you is almost unheard of to receive an inspection like this, which we are very proud that this happened. Excuse me. So having no deficiencies is a very big deal because each deficiency that a facility does receive, it actually counts against you by adding points to what Department of Health and CMS call your health inspection score. And that stays on your record for 3 years. The more severe the deficiency that they find, the higher the points that are given for that survey cycle. These points are used to determine each facility's health inspection star rating. And I'm also happy to say we have a 5-star health inspection rating, which is the highest that you can receive. And only about 10% of facilities in the state receive that. Thank you. So not only is this a wonderful reflection on our current team, but it sets Fox Run up for success in our overall star rating for the next few years. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have read this, but a lot of the times when nursing homes are talked about, whether it's in the news or online articles, they're talking about their star rating. So how does the star rating system work? And this is through the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare Services, the CMS, their 5-star rating program. There's 3 components that go into your 5-star rating: your health inspection score, your staffing, as well as your quality measure ratings. So the ratings always begin and end with your health inspection survey results. So if this facility has a poor health inspection survey record, they're not going to have a good overall score. And they also include any complaint surveys for the past 3 years. So a complaint survey would happen where families and residents have the right to call Department of Health at any time if they feel like something is wrong or something isn't happening the way it should. And that's when Department of Health will come out and do what they call an extra complaint survey to investigate what's being claimed against the facility. So as you can see, our recent health inspection results, our first cycle was from our most recent survey. We had 0 points given, which was amazing. Our second cycle, which was in 2022, we only had 1.33 counted against us, and that was the result of just one deficiency that was given. One of my poor CNAs was being watched like a hawk, and she forgot one of the steps of a routine that she was performing, and they gave us a deficiency for that. Even then, they'll interview the CNA afterward and ask, what are you supposed to do? She answered it correctly. I think she just got very, very nervous, but that's okay, we'll take it. It's a learning experience, and when things like that happen, we'll then go and do audits of all of the care. We'll do in-service training just to make sure all the aides know what they should be doing at all times. And then in our third cycle, the survey that happened in 2019, as well as an infection control survey that happened in January of 21, we only had 1.34 counted against us, which is very, very low. So this table right here shows the inspection cut points for New York State. So to get, there's facilities that have 42 or more of a health inspection score. So that just kind of shows you how many deficiencies a certain facility can have and the points that count against us. And there are some deficiencies alone where you could receive 20 points against your facility score, depending on the severity. So as you can see, altogether, our survey total is only 2.7, making our current health inspection rating a 5-star. Now, we can go up to 8 points and still have a 5-star record, so it just goes to show you how truly great our survey record is right now. And it's something that's very important to us and that we hope to maintain and that we're gonna work very hard to maintain. Okay, so when you're dealing with a facility's overall score, again, like I said before, you're gonna start with your health inspection rating. We have 5 stars for that. And then you go into your staffing. You add 1 star to the health inspection rating if your staffing rating is 4 or 5 stars and greater than your score. And you would also subtract 1 star from your score if your staffing rating was only 1 star. I can't tell you when I looked at the data, and I was just showing this to Bill yesterday, how many facilities have an overall rating of 4 stars, which you would think that means they're really, really good. But their staffing rating is only 1 star. So it's a website called Nursing Home Compare, and it's something where you can look up all of this information, but it just kind of gives you some background on it. And then the final step is you would add a star to the step 2 result if your quality measure score was 5 stars, and you would subtract 1 if the quality rating was only 1. Our quality measure rating right now is at 3 stars, and we're only 10 points away from 4 stars, which I'm making it a goal of mine to happen this year, because it's something that's very, very small, and that I know that we can get there for sure. And a little bit what's confusing about our quality measure rating, you're given a fraction depending on how many residents you service. We have a smaller skilled nursing community, so if we have even 1 person trigger for one of the measures, such as having a UTI, or someone that fell and then unfortunately had a serious injury from it, like they fell and they broke their arm, or they broke their hip. If we have even 1 person that happens to, it counts a lot more against us than larger facilities that have 150, 200, 250 beds. So, and then also important to know, if your health inspection rating is only 1 star, your overall rating cannot be upgraded to more than that 1 star, because that's how highly they view the health inspection process. Okay. So I know I talked a little bit about bragging about my team and our staffing and our star rating and kind of getting into the weeds of that. And now I just wanted to open it up to see if anybody had any questions. Hopefully I can answer them for you.
My question is follows. Who is the team, or what does it consist of that does the ratings for these facilities?
The question was, who is the team, or who are the people that come together and do the ratings for these facilities? And that is CMS. It's a federal group. It's the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Those are who hand out the star ratings. So what happens is, every quarter, our MDS coordinator, who I talked about, medical records, we have to send in all of our records of what we provide and what we do. And then from that, they take everything, they look at our staffing that was reported, they look at our health survey, and they come up with this formula and subsequent number that's given to us.
What advance notice do you get for an inspection?
That's a good one. So the question is, what advance notice do we get for an inspection? We don't. So they generally tell you, so before COVID, it was a lot more streamlined and you had a better idea of knowing when they were coming. Because it was generally your survey window was 12 to 15 months since your last one. When COVID happened, they stopped surveys. And then when they started again, no one knew how often they were coming. As you can see, there was a time where I think we went 3 years without a survey. So you never know when they're gonna come. And they can also come before that survey window. They can come whenever they want. I can even give an example where you would think they would come like during, like normal business hours, start of the day. My first survey here, I'll never forget it, I took the day off. I took my son to the zoo, I made spaghetti at home, I had sauce boiling, and I get a call from our assistant director of nursing at 6 o'clock saying, Department of Health is here, you need to get in here now. My poor husband, I left my child in the, I forget what it's called now, his seat eating with sauce all over, the pots on the stove, the house was a mess, and I'm like, I gotta go, because they're there. And I may or may not have broken the speed limit, as well as many of my other staff getting here and through the campus to get here. But they can come whenever they want. So that's a long answer to that question. But. George, did you have a question?
That was my question.
That was your question too?
So you have
Yes.
to be on your toes 24/7.
Janice's question statement was, so you have to be on your toes 24/7. Yes, we do. So it's a good thing I was on my tippy toes as a kid, because it very much prepared me, because that really is what it is. We have to be prepared no matter what time of day at any time.
Is there a limit to the time one can spend in skilled? Can people remain in skilled permanently, or do we have a limit?
So the question was, is there a limit to how long you can stay in skilled? And the answer from our perspective in taking care of you, no. We just want to make sure that we would never keep someone in our skilled nursing setting unless they qualified to be there. That's the most important thing. Now, sometimes when we're admitting people from the community, insurance plays a part. But they'll just say how long they're actually going to cover your stay. And then if they feel, past a certain point, you don't need those services anymore, they won't cover for it, and then you become private pay. But as long as someone scores appropriately to be in our setting, and everyone that comes to us needs what's called a PRI screen. You may have heard that talked about before, whether it was through Lori or being done at the hospital. That PRI screen is done that shows you need a skilled nursing level of care. You have to score a certain amount in order to be in our setting, or else it wouldn't be ethical for us to keep you.
My question is, how much of the interview that they do, does it include the maintenance people, the housekeeping? All that is included also in this evaluation, is that correct?
That is correct. So it is separate from the health inspection portion, but during our surveys, we also have people that come on that are part of the life safety survey. And that is something that Matt and his team deal with immaculately. And they look at our environment. Is everything being followed as it should? And also during the regular survey too, they're interviewing staff. They're looking at the housekeeping. They're looking at our environment to make sure is everything being handled appropriately. But also with our health inspection rating, there's also our life safety code survey, and that's something that Matt and his team conducts.
And dining.
And dining. And dining is a part of the regular survey as well. They watch food being served. They actually taste the food that's being served. They're looking at all of our special diets that we serve to make sure that they're the right consistency. So anything that you can think of that goes into it, they look at.
I'm just curious, oftentimes people coming in from the outside, I have heard, and I don't know how true it is, do they have to be referred from a hospital staff, or can they come directly into skilled from their home?
Okay.
Outsiders.
Thank you, Lona. That was a great question. So for outsiders or people from the community, what do they need to come to skilled nursing? They can come from the hospital or they can come from home. It's both. But what needs to happen is that PRN screen. So at the hospital, they're able to get that a lot more efficiently. They have the staff there to evaluate. If we ever admit someone from home, they have to have an individual party come out that's not associated with Box Run to conduct that PRN screen to make sure, is this person we're taking from the community appropriate for the services?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is, and you may have mentioned it, but that's okay. The RN, okay, how am I gonna say it? Do they cover 24 hours of the day? And also the doctor, is he on staff here or is he on call? What's the position on this?
Okay, so the question was, with our RNs, I believe, are they here 24/7 or available 24/7, as well as our medical director?
They both are.
They both are. So to answer your question, our RNs, if there is not someone on site, which really doesn't happen, when I first started, it was happening a little bit more, because it's not a state requirement yet to have an RN 24 hours, 7 days a week on site, depending on your facility, how many, and what you have going on in the building. I can say we are very close to having an RN on site 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if we ever don't and something happens where an RN is needed, our director of nursing comes in and makes sure to take care of it so that everything is taken care of appropriately. And then with our medical director, they are on site multiple times a week and they're on call 24/7.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you fully staffed right now?
We are.
I've had occasion to use the PERS a couple of times, and the maintenance staff was extremely responsive. What kind of
I'll repeat it for her.
What kind of training do they have?
Is the question about the maintenance staff specifically? Okay.
Training to respond to the PERS.
Okay, so with the PERS system, the question was, what kind of training does the maintenance staff have in responding to the PERS, because they do such a phenomenal job. That, I will say, is for Bill and his team. They do a remarkable job training them, because an independent is when you have the PERS system. And then in skilled nursing, we have what are called call bells in your room that you would press, and to signal, there's little lights that are outside of each room, as well as pagers that go off, and that lets our nursing staff know to come and take care of you. Whereas on the independent side, the PERS signals to the maintenance department, oh, something's not right, and they'll come and check on you.
And our maintenance team are in service regularly as to how to respond. They're giving CPR training, so they're all certified. But they're instructed to quickly go in, and I know not everybody loves this, but we will call EMS right away. They'll assess the situation, if somebody's bleeding, or it looks like they're unconscious, or whatever it may be, or they're on the floor. It's almost automatic that we'll call a local fire department. They will bring their EMS team in to respond to it. Our maintenance team, again, just CPR certified, but we do in-service them on what to do, but they are not qualified to do hands-on care.
Thank you.
Whereas our staff are. Not, so when you come to skilled nursing, you don't need that, because all of the staff are already right there to do what's needed.
And one thing it's worth pointing out, I think a lot of folks think, well, I press my PERS and all of these qualified nurses are next door, why don't they send someone over? We can't do that. The state does not allow it. If they were to come over, they're not licensed to treat in this setting. They're only licensed to treat in the walls of the health center.
Allie would get in a lot of trouble for that, and we don't want it to.
So would Bill.
So would Bill.
What about the AED training?
I'm sorry?
AED,
Yes.
defibrillator training.
The
Defibrillator.
defibrillator.
Battles.
Who's trained, is maintenance trained for that? No?
No, they cannot do actual hands-on care.
Well, they do when they do CPR.
So Lori Gercio would train how to use the paddles during CPR training, yes.
So who's trained to do that? Besides the nurses and the doctors?
For the,
Anybody?
That would be, so,
So
I could take it off the wall
yes,
and
yes.
do it myself.
Yes, exactly. So the way I understand it is it's similar to the choking sign.
Right.
It's similar to a choking sign in the Oak Room, where it's instructional how to do it. The same thing with the 8 with the paddles. It actually talks to you and explains how to do it. So we have gone through the process with maintenance while they do their CPR training, but they're not certified to use it. So anyone can use those. And we just haven't had the occasion to actually use it for anyone yet.
yeah, and then in skilled nursing, our nurses and aides are regularly certified through the state for CPR to make sure everyone's up to date, and that I believe is on, I wanna say every 2 years they have to go through that training, might even be annual, but something's telling me it's every 2 years.
My question is, if we all bought in to do the transition for 3 levels, and you do take outsiders for skill, what is that based on if you're trying to keep room for us?
So when we take people from the outside, the question was, how do we really keep track of, or how is it based on if we're supposed to be adhering to this continuum that you all have bought it into with the 3 levels of care? How do we ensure that there's gonna be space for you as well as taking people on from the outside? And that's a fantastic question. And that's something that I and our admissions team, as well as Bill and everyone that meets during service coordination once a week, that's what we're there for, to talk about, okay, who needs potentially these services in the future? We're not looking at right now, we're also looking in the future of who may need it, so that we know how many people we can and can't take from the community.
Janice, we've turned people away. So we have 60 beds in our skilled nursing unit. And you never know if someone's gonna fall tomorrow and they need to come to our health center. Somebody in this room, perhaps, they need the health center the next day. So we get to a point of 60 beds, when we get into the low 50s, we start getting uncomfortable. And I don't know that only in emergency situations have we gone above 55. We like to keep that pool of beds open for those emergencies, because those are for all of you in this room. They're not for the outside. So when we bring people from the outside, it's only when our census dips to a certain low level.
So
And-
yep, go.
And, I wanna know how to, so if it's all filled up and someone needs one, does the outsider go first or do I go first?
When you say go,
Where are you going, Janice? I'm going
I'd
to
love to
like
hear the
another
answer to this.
nursing home.
where are you going? So, first of all, we won't be full.
You never
But
be
let's
filled.
say hypothetically, we're completely full.
Yeah,
We can't take anyone out of their existing room and move them.
okay.
It's the next admission will temporarily go to another community on Fox Run's dime, and then as soon as it opens, it did happen back in 2015. That was the last time, and since then, we've expanded our health center to add 10 more beds. So our plan is for that to never happen again, because it's really uncomfortable, and nobody wants that. But that person went over for a couple days, and then they came back when it was open.
So you can't, if an outsider came in, you can't send them
We absolutely cannot kick somebody out.
Once they're admitted, they're admitted.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, but you check on that, so.
You might be our first to kick out.
Oh,
I'll keep that in my folder. Hey,
Janice is
a picture
willing.
of Janice, beware.
Well, it makes everybody comfortable to know.
Yes, but no, we will always make sure there's a space for anyone at Fox Run that needs it. You are our priority.
Is staff development a part of your, little picture of how you look at the center?
So I believe the question is staff development a part of how you look at the center in our community? So do you mean that in terms of what we do, or in terms of how the state's looking at it?
No, in terms of what you do.
Yes.
The staff.
The staff. So staff development is very important to us at Fox Run. So we take our training very seriously. I also want to make sure our staff they feel appreciated and recognized for the work that they do. as well as we have continuing education that we offer for them. There's in-services that are mandatory for all of my staff to do every year. I think it's something like 8 to 10?
It's 700 and some odd minutes we have to have.
The 700 and some odd minutes each staff member has to have per year of continuing education, of things that Department of Health has to approve to make sure that they're always learning. But another piece of staff development is that they feel recognized, that they feel seen, that they feel appreciated. So coming up in May is our Nursing Care Week, where we love to do a bunch of fun things to celebrate our staff. And also just me talking to you about them today. It's hard in our line of work, a lot of times what my direct care staff do is mindless work and it's selfless work. They're there to be your home and to take care of you. And it's not always at a time where you're happy to receive it, and that's okay. But we're there to take care of you and make sure to address your needs in whatever way we can. And a big part of what I do is making sure that if my staff have a problem or an issue, or if they don't feel seen, that I correct that, because that's just as important as the work that they're doing for you.
Any other questions for Ally? Oh.
I think she said, any other questions for me? No? Darn. Thank you. Oh, okay, I got another one. You want this one? That's fine. I don't need one.
Battery died.
You will, because it won't be anything.
Oh, okay.
Now that we're on congratulating the people up at the skilled nursing, I spent them almost 2 weeks up there. And I have to say that I would never, ever, ever want to go back to a hospital setting and get the care that I have had and got out there. You people are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can repeat that for the camera if you want.
This way?
Yes.
Thank you for this wonderful overview of our facility, which all of us, and hopefully we won't have to take, but we will be happy to be there. And I want to tell you, my recent experience, our skilled nursing is above and beyond anything you could possibly do.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for those lovely compliments. Ally and her team do a phenomenal job here. I know a lot of people in this room have had to utilize our skilled nursing setting. I know at some of the neighborhood luncheons that Bill and I have had, we've heard a lot of nice compliments from some of you who have either had to stay yourself or have had a spouse up in skilled nursing. So thank you for the kind words. Kudos to you, Ally, again, and your team, and thank you for speaking today.
Thank you.